Stand by for a hard one tonight, crew. On Tuesday, in a courtroom in Damascus, a Syrian judge sentenced the men who ran the machine that tortured and killed their own people for more than a decade. Not a foreign tribunal, not The Hague, a Syrian court in the Syrian capital under the new government that replaced the one on trial. At the top of the list, Bashar al-Assad, the former president, his brother Maher, and a cousin, Atef Najib, the security officer whose crackdown in the town of Daraa in 2011 lit the match that became the civil war. All three sentenced to death, and they were not the only ones. That is the verdict. Tonight's file is about what a verdict is worth when most of the guilty are somewhere the court can never reach them. The charges are precise, and precision matters most when the crime is this large. Bashar al-Assad, premeditated murder, torture, and crimes against humanity. Maher al-Assad, premeditated murder and torture. And Atef Najib, whose crackdown started all of it, crimes against humanity, and the court spelled out in its own words what that included: the intentional killing of children under 15 and torture leading to death. Read that charge again, crew. Children under 15. The court did not deal in abstractions or euphemisms. It named what the machine did to kids, and it convicted a man for doing it. This is not a show trial reaching for a headline. It is a legal record, entered in the country where the crimes actually happened. And the court reached past the individual men to the thing that matters most for the history books. The judge, Fakhr al-Aryan, described, quote, the highest decision-maker using the institutions of the state to facilitate the crimes. Sit with that phrasing, crew. Not a few bad officers, not one rogue prison. The highest decision-maker, using the machinery of the government itself, the ministries, the security branches, the prisons, as instruments of murder and torture. That is a finding about a system run from the very top, and a Syrian court has now entered it into the official record. Whatever stays uncertain about tonight, that sentence is carved in stone now. The state itself was the weapon. Now the hard arithmetic, and this is the whole tension of the day. The court sentenced more than just those three headline names. Al Jazeera's account adds the defense minister, Fahd al-Freij, a Daraa intelligence chief, Louay and other officials besides. A whole row of death sentences for the leadership of a security state. But now count how many of them were actually in the room. 1. Atef Najib, the cousin who lit Daraa, sat in a cage in that courtroom, in a prisoner's uniform. And the judge said he showed, quote, no remorse. Every other man was tried in absentia. Bashar and Maher al-Assad were convicted from Moscow, where they fled the day the government fell, and where Russia has granted them asylum and refused to send them back. So the number that matters tonight is not the count of death sentences, it is this. Of everyone a Damascus court condemned to die, exactly one is sitting in a Damascus cell. So what is a death sentence worth against a man safe in Moscow? Two honest answers, crew, and you need to hold both at once. First, the skeptics. A sentence you cannot enforce is, in the immediate sense, symbolic. Russia is not extraditing Bashar al-Assad to hang in Damascus, and everyone in that courtroom knew it. Measure justice only in executions carried out, and Tuesday delivered one man to a cell and a stack of paper for the rest. But second, and this desk holds this just as hard, a verdict is not only a punishment, it is a record. For the families in Daraa whose murdered children are named in that charge sheet, the state that killed them has now been convicted, by name, in their own country, on the books, permanently. Assad may well die of old age in exile, but he will die a convicted mass murderer with a standing death sentence in his own capital, unable to ever go home. Ask the people of Daraa whether that is nothing. After action, and it is a solemn one. A Syrian court in Damascus convicted the top of the Assad security state of murder, torture, and crimes against humanity, including the deliberate killing of children, and it did so in the country that suffered it, which almost never happens in this world. And in the very same breath, the reach of that court stops cold at Russia's border, where the man most responsible sits beyond it. Both things are true at once. Justice was done on the record and denied in the flesh, on the same Tuesday, in the same room. So here is what to watch, crew, and it is not whether Assad is ever executed, because he likely never will be. Watch whether the record holds, whether it is taught and cited and ready to be enforced the day he ever loses Russia's protection. A conviction is a debt the world can choose to collect later. Daraa just entered it in the ledger. File it. I'm Mark, and this is Pixel Politics.